The air in the kitchen was thick with the scent of scorched coffee, the pot forgotten on the stove as I stood frozen, staring at the phone in my hand. My wife's text glowed on the screen, each word a splinter in my chest. I'm staying late at the office again. Don't wait up. The clock above the sink ticked past midnight, its relentless rhythm mocking the stillness of our home. I'd been ignoring the signs for months, the late nights, the guarded phone, the way her laughter had become a rare, fleeting thing. But this message, so casual, so routine, felt like a confession I wasn't ready to hear. I sank into a chair, the wood creaking under my weight, and tried to steady my breath. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies doubt. Claire and I had built this life together. 10 years of shared dreams, whispered promises, and the kind of love that felt invincible. But lately, her eyes avoided mine, her touch was perfunctory, and her excuses were polished to a sheen. I'd rationalized it all. She was stressed, her new promotion demanded more, her friends were pulling her into their orbit of late-night drinks and self-discovery. But the truth was clawing at me now, sharp and unyielding. The first hint had come months ago, at a dinner party with her divorced friends, women who wore their independence like armor and spoke of marriage as a cage. Claire had laughed along, her glass of wine tilting precariously as she nodded at their stories of liberation. I'd felt a prickle of unease then, but I brushed it off. She loved me, didn't she? We were different. Yet, as I sat there in the dark, I remembered the way she'd lingered in the mirror that morning, adjusting a new necklace I hadn't seen before, its delicate chain glinting like a secret. I stood, my legs unsteady, and moved to the living room, where her coat hung over the armrest. My hands trembled as I reached into the pocket, half expecting to find nothing. My fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper, and my heart lurched. It was a receipt from a hotel bar, dated last week, for 2 glasses of wine and a room key deposit. The name on the receipt wasn't hers, it was his. Daniel. Her co-worker, the one she'd mentioned in passing, always with a casual shrug, as if he were insignificant. My vision blurred, the paper crumpling in my fist. Are you okay? Her voice startled me, soft but edged with something I couldn't place. Claire stood in the doorway, her coat still on, her face pale under the dim light. I hadn't heard the front door open. My mouth went dry, the receipt burning in my hand like a live coal. Late night again? I asked, my voice low, steady, but laced with something dangerous. I held up the receipt, watching her eyes flicker with recognition before she masked it with a frown. What's that? She said, stepping closer, her tone too light, too practiced. A receipt. From the Meridian Hotel. Last Thursday. I paused, letting the words sink in. You said you were working late. She froze, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came. The silence was deafening, heavier than any argument we'd ever had. I wanted her to deny it, to laugh and call it a mistake, but her eyes betrayed her, guilt, fear, and something like relief flashed across her face in an instant. It's not what you think, she said finally, her voice trembling. Daniel and I, we were just talking. He's been helping me with the new project. Talking? I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. At a hotel bar. With a room key. Her face crumpled, and she sank onto the couch, her hands twisting in her lap. It wasn't planned, she whispered. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go that far. The words hit like a physical blow, stealing my breath. I wanted to scream, to demand why, but all I could do was stare at her, at the woman I thought I knew. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in, the air thick with the scent of her perfume. Jasmine, once comforting, now suffocating. How long? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked away, her fingers digging into the couch. A few months, she admitted, each word a blade. It started as, I don't know, a distraction. I was feeling trapped, like I was losing myself. My friends, they kept saying marriage changes you, takes away your freedom. I didn't believe them at first, but then you decided to test it, I finished, my voice cold. With him. Her eyes met mine, glistening with tears. I didn't want to hurt you, Tom. I love you. I got lost. I wanted to believe her, to cling to the love we'd built, but the betrayal was a chasm between us, too wide to cross. I thought of the nights I'd lain awake, convincing myself her distance was temporary, that we'd find our way back. Now, those moments felt like lies I'd told myself, each one a brick in the wall she'd built between us. "Why didn't you talk to me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why didn't you tell me you were unhappy?" "I tried," she said, her voice rising. "But you were always so perfect. Always so understanding. I didn't know how to tell you I was drowning." Her words stung, twisting the knife deeper. I'd prided myself on being her rock, her safe place, but maybe I'd been blind to her struggles, too wrapped up in my own version of our story. Doubt crept in, mingling with the anger, the heartbreak. Had I failed her? Or was this all an excuse, a way to justify her choice? The room spun, the edges of my vision darkening. I wanted to walk away, to leave her with her guilt, but my feet stayed rooted. Instead, I sank onto the couch beside her, the space between us an ocean. "What now?" I asked, my voice hollow. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away, the motion instinctive. Her face fell, and for a moment, I saw the girl I'd married, vulnerable, flawed, human. But the image shattered as I remembered the receipt, the late nights, the lies. "I don't know," she said, her voice barely audible. "I want to fix this, but I don't know if I can. Or if you'll let me." The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken questions. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her again? The receipt lay crumpled on the floor, a small, damning piece of evidence that had unraveled everything. I stood, my legs heavy, and walked to the window. The street outside was dark, the streetlights casting long, lonely shadows across the pavement. "I need time," I said finally, my back to her. "I don't know what this means for us." She didn't respond, and I didn't turn around. The weight of her betrayal pressed against my chest, but beneath it, a flicker of something else stirred, resolve, maybe, or the faint hope that we could rebuild from the ruins. Or perhaps it was just denial, a refusal to let go of the life we'd planned. As I stared into the night, a car pulled up across the street, its headlights cutting through the dark. A man stepped out, tall, familiar, his silhouette unmistakable. Daniel. He stood there, watching our house, his phone glowing in his hand. My breath caught, rage flaring hot and sudden. Claire's voice broke the silence behind me, a soft, desperate plea. "Tom, don't." But it was too late. The truth was out, and the pieces of our life were scattered, irretrievable. I turned to face her, my heart pounding, knowing that whatever came next would change us forever.